Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show. Just after 5 o'clock, Connor, Halley, Hernan, Salas with you. Gregor and Struds off today on this positive Friday, getting a head start on the weekend, but they will be back on Monday. A reminder, we love to hear from you. 10-12-60 if you want to text in. 780-444-1260 on Twitter, at Connor Halley, at Hernan Demand. If you want to send an email to the Jiffy Lube inbox, you can do that. Is your vehicle road trip ready? Stop by your neighborhood Jiffy Lube. Before you hit the open road, Jiffy Lube, keeping you moving on road trip ready all summer long. Of course, we are continuing our question today, and we're going to be away 2 rounds of golf at Eagle Rock. Who's your favorite NFL team? How did they become your NFL team? Send that to 10-12-60. It's very simple. We will select a winner before 6 o'clock on the show today. And right now, we will get to the Rashog Report, brought to you by GS Construction. If you have smarts, a strong work ethic, and a commitment to excellence, go to Indeed.com and apply today at GS Construction. We now bring in Ryan Rashog of TSN. Ryan, how you doing today?
Good. So you guys are running the whole thing, hey?
Yeah. We kind of joked. I got the B team, and I'm not sure what Gregor and Struds are doing. I heard whisperings of the Gregor Show wellness retreat, but
oh boy,
left me out of that one. So
yeah, they're in baggy pants, sitting with their hands resting on their knees and their eyes closed, and making meditative sounds, centering themselves. I think that's good for both of them. I think they both need that.
I agree. They needed to get out of the city, just the two of them, and kind of find their balance before NHL season gets going. And I don't mind it. This is the first time in 3.5 years they've both gone, and I've got the chance to host. So
nice. So have you taken it completely into the ditch yet, or where is the show at right now? Is it a disaster? Is anyone listening?
We've got a few texts so far. We're doing okay. Our trivia question isn't even trivia. I just kind of made it a generic question that everyone can respond to. So
sweet.
If there's an issue,
you want, man.
Yeah.
Hey, like, you've got your hands on the wheel. You do whatever you want. We don't even have to talk sports. What do you feel like doing? I don't know.
Well,
whatever you want.
Here's the thing, and this is going to be, I don't know, it might be kind of awkward because Tom Gazzola was on earlier today, and he was telling us about how you guys went golfing today.
We did,
a pretty all-star foursome when it comes to golfing, but he said Jack Michaels rattled your cage based on your wardrobe, and he didn't tell us what you were wearing, so we don't really know if that's facts or not. But what happened?
Oh boy! Well, I don't want to. It's our friends down the dial that we were golfing with, so I'm not going to promote them in any way, shape, or form by using their names. But all I'll say is, Mr. Loud Voice rolls up, 25 minutes late, 2 holes late, and takes one look at me and says, "So are we dressing like a more senior member of the course now?" Like, I don't know, I guess. And I asked Tom, like, I had black pants on, I had a gray shirt, kind of a black and blue hat. I don't know, maybe the pants were a little bit conservative. They might have been a little bit conservative, maybe. But 100% it got into my kitchen and definitely affected my game. And Tom tried to reassure me. That reminds me, I got a great video of him doing push-ups on the course. I forgot to tweet.
And he was surprised about that one. He didn't say what happened, but he wanted us to ask you about it, and he was curious why it hadn't reached Twitter yet.
Yeah, I don't know, I guess I got busy. Well, because he's part of the mind game, right? Like, he's part of that whole thing, and so I nailed him on the course. I just picked up his way. I just said, "Whose is this?" And, of course, he's like, "Mine!" So he had to do 10 push-ups on the next tee box. But then, awkwardly, he gets down to do the push-ups and starts counting them out loud. So he's like 1, 2, 3, kind of as if to say, "Oh, I can do 10 push-ups without being out of breath." And then he got to 10, and he looks over, and he did an 11th and called out 11 like he was being petulant. So it was interesting that he called them out loud. But I may have to tweet that, though, because it's good video. It's quality video. It's on the signature hole out at Belvedere. It's a beautiful hole, par 3, overlooking the clubhouse and this fountain and lake and everything. Really quite nice camera work, I have to say.
Yeah, I mean, it showcases both of your strengths, so I think that is something you got to put out there. And for Tommy G, that's clearly a statement that he can do 11 push-ups. So
yeah, and be able to count them out while he's doing it and not be gasping for air like I would be. I do have to say, though, I'll give Tom some props. He played a heck of a good game today. He's got a little bit of game. pretty long off the tee. He's a good ball striker. I thought he played really well today. He absolutely schooled me. I was terrible.
He gets a lot of practice. I know he was at a charity event yesterday, and he used to have his regular Thursday tee time. So I know Tommy's a pretty good golfer. Ryan, let's talk about the Edmonton Elks. And the plan right now is to resume team activities on September 1st. They had no positive cases. What have you heard from the Elks organization? And is this a good sign to see that today, for the first time, no positive tests?
Well, you just want to stop the case count from going up, right? That's the thing. Is you can't have it day after day after day where, well, there's 2 more, oh, there's 3 more, oh, there's 2 more. You got to stop it in its tracks at some point. So the hope will be consecutive days with no positive cases. That's the big one, or no new positive cases. Because as we know, there can be an incubation period. It could take a little while before you could actually test positive after you already have it. So I think the hope for them at this point is that today was a day with no new added cases, tomorrow's another day with no new added cases, and then you get another day with no new added cases, and now you're drawing near the end of your quarantine. And it sounds like their plan is to try and get back on the field next Wednesday. But, man, for pro athletes here to try and just jump back on the field and get themselves ready, this is going to be difficult. There's only so much jumping around your hotel room or your apartment you can do to try and stay in shape here. So, but I guess that's the next problem they face, right? You just got to stop pulling positive tests, level off the number, get yourselves out of quarantine, and then try and somehow get ready to go compete. And it's a tall order, man. It's a tall order. We've seen young hockey players try and do it. We've seen various sports where they've had to come out of quarantine and try and perform, and it's not easy.
Yeah, I mean, for the team, the good news is they are on a bye week. Next action won't be till Monday, September 6th, Labor Day Classic, a big game. Just how big of a deal do you think it is to miss out on that practice time, not getting those reps, especially in football where the timing is such a big factor in it?
Yeah, well, I think it's a big deal. I think, you're not getting an opportunity to put the offense on the field and have a quarterback throwing balls to his receivers and, just working on all the things that they needed to work on. I mean, there were some new faces this year, and they weren't exactly knocking it out of the park at the time this whole thing happened. So, they needed all the practice time they could get before this happened. So there have been some more positive signs the last little bit here in terms of their play, but they were really hoping to turn a corner and get this thing straightened out and smoothed out. It's a shortened season. You can't start with too many bumps. And I think they were really hoping to get her going in the right direction. So you missed some practice time here. They got a new special teams coordinator, that's going to have to get in there. And, I mean, you're asking for more bumps in the road with a lack of practice time and change on top of that as well, right? So it'll be interesting to see how they adjust, how they come out. The bye week it's good timing. But these guys haven't played a game in a little while here, and they were rusty to start the year. So we'll see, man. It was not a great start to the season, and this is, first and foremost, we just hope everybody's okay and healthy and gets through. For those who are infected with COVID, we hope everybody gets through okay and safe, and then we'll see what they're able to put together in a short amount of practice time.
TSN's Ryan Rashog joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. It's changed directions a little bit, and Jack Eichel making some news today, reportedly switching agents. He's looking for that trade. He's also got the neck injury that's causing a little bit of a hiccup as well. How do you think this all plays out, and if a trade is to happen, when do you think it will happen?
Yeah, good question. I mean, listen, I think something has to change. There have been, they've been at odds for quite a while, and so Buffalo's changed things on their end, right? There's been new voices that come and go from there, but the results are still the same. So through a couple of management structures and a few different people having the conversation, it doesn't appear they've been able to really improve the situation with Eichel and his agent. And so something has to change, and he's kind of at this point in his career where it's really getting late in the game here to figure out what's happening with surgeries and what's happening with what's the game plan here. And so I guess you just got to change something up. So you change up the voice, and look, agents, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. It's a tough racket. Pat Brisson is one of the most well-respected, widely used agents out there. He deals with superstars all the time. Every once in a while, but the thing is it happens to all these agents. All of the agents out there at one point or another have clients that leave and go somewhere else, or at least most of them, and it's probably not great when it happens. But changing the dynamic within the conversation probably isn't the worst thing, considering there's been little to no progress here. So, trade, I'm not sure. I don't know how much the agent steps in and really makes a massive difference on the trade front. Because at the end of the day, it's the general manager and the president and the owner that need to look at the deal that's in front of them and say, okay, we're good to do that. Well, what deal is Pat Brisson going to go squeak out there that, the previous agent wasn't able to? Is he going to all of a sudden convince somebody to do something they weren't willing to do before? I don't know how much that changes the trade dynamic with a new agent at the helm.
Ryan, one last question for you, and it was just about 7 days exactly when you shook up Strud's world. He thought he had the next great Edmonton Oilers goal song. You came in last minute, nominated.
I remember.
Sweet Emotion by Aerosmith. Now,
good day.
I look at it. Struddy was in the first 4 days of the week. You were on vacation.
Yeah.
We knew you wouldn't be in, but you were coming back Friday. Coincidentally, Jason Strudwick not here today. Did you do some damage there? Is he afraid to get back and have this conversation with you?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we're okay. We text a little bit afterwards. I sort of wanted to gauge it a little bit and be like, hey, look, man, I didn't say sorry, but I was kind of like, whew, rough go for you. And he seemed to be in okay spirits, but then I haven't really heard from him since. So I think, look, just the sheer amount of work and pride that he took in that project, and the amount of time that he put into it, I mean, that was hours and hours and hours of his life. And he's a busy guy, right, running hockey schools, and he's a committed family man, and, he likes to get in his 12 to 17 minutes of cardio a day. And so for him, that was a big deal, and I basically just owned it. I owned it. I made it my own. I schooled him. It was probably a little embarrassing for him, and I'm not sure when I'm going to hear from him again. So you let me know. You'll see him next before I do. You tell me how he's doing.
I will, and I'll tell you, officially right after the commercial breaks following, he was quite rattled, and he was admitting it. He thought he had it, and you kind of put him in his place last second. So I hope the relationship's okay, but we'll find out on Monday. He'll be back then.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see. I'll be on some holidays next week, too, a little bit here and there. So maybe time will heal all. Maybe it'll be a couple weeks, and then everything will just go back to, kind of the semi-sort of friendship that we had.
I hope we can get back there. Ryan, thanks for doing this. Have a great weekend.
All right, nice job today. See you, pal.
See ya. That is Ryan Rashog, TSN Edmonton, the Rashog Report, presented by GS Construction, 47 years as an underground contractors in Edmonton. Shout out to their underappreciated water and sewer crews. Like Jason Strudwick in the NHL, they do the dirty work that few want to do. They're the Strudwicks of GS Construction, and you know what? They work on Fridays, unlike Jason Strudwick every once in a while. So check them out, GS Construction. We'll get to break here. Coming up next, we'll talk to Alan Mitchell. He's the host of The Lowdown with Lowtide. He writes at The Athletic. He's an all-around good guy. And we'll get his thoughts on just a variety of topics on this positive Friday. I'm Connor Halley, Hernan Salas alongside with me. This is the Jason Gregor Show on Edmonton Sports Leader, TSN 1260. Welcome back to the Jason Gregor Show on TSN 1260. Connor Halley here with you. Hernan Salas behind the glass. Gregor and Struddy get a head start on the weekend. They'll be back on Monday. And lots to get to here on the show still. Keep those texts coming to 10-12-60. Your NFL team and why they are your NFL team. Wow, that's been the discussion for us for a while here. We're going to be giving away one lucky winner, 2 rounds of golf at Eagle Rock, 2 rounds Monday through Friday with a cart. Some of them are great. I like this one from Dwayne. Favorite team is the Bears because of the fridge and sweetness. The Super Bowl shuffle just iced it. When I was 12 years old, my mom went to an education conference in Denver. Whenever my parents were away, they brought back a gift. On the trip, my mom got me a Denver Broncos t-shirt. Been a fan since Maddo. It can be as simple as that when you're a kid. It can be a player. It can be the color scheme. It can be an item that you got from someone like that. That's all it takes to become a fan of the NFL. So keep those texts coming to 10-12-60. Right now, we're going to go around the NHL. Brought to you by McDonald's. Stop in and try the Maple Barbecue and Bacon Quarter Pounder. The beefiest hamburger just got beefier. Only at McDonald's. And with that, we bring in Alan Mitchell. He is the host of The Lowdown with Lowtide right here on TSN 1260, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. till noon. You can also read his writing at The Athletic. Al, how you doing today?
I'm good. It's Friday. I don't know if anybody told you this or not, but it's Friday, Connor.
It is Friday. We're almost there. About 25 minutes till Hernan and I can head out. You did 4 hours of radio today, so you put in your time, and now you're working overtime. So thank you for doing this.
Well, this is sort of visiting, so I don't consider this work.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. That's how I look at it too. But only one of us is getting paid for it. So, Al, we talked about it in 5 questions, and this segment is brought to you by McDonald's. I don't know if you saw the announcement today, but they're bringing an item back on, I believe, Tuesday. That's been gone for a little while. Like I'm hoping it's pizza. Hernan was hoping it's the McDLT. Is there an old McDonald's item that you want to be, consuming starting on next Wednesday?
I'd love the McRib back. I love that thing.
You were a McRib guy, hey?
Oh, I loved it. Here's the thing. I love Big Macs. I love Quarter Pounders, and I like to rotate the McRib in, and it went away, and I was sad. I remember all the products and all of the fast foods in the history of the world that are no longer here. But I did like the McRib. I did indeed.
The vast history of McDonald's having these special products and, food items that they brought back, and like they could do this every month, bring back something from the past just to keep us happy. Like people are saying the orange drink. We've got some people about like the apple pies. Like there's just so much stuff they could bring back. The chocolate vanilla swirl ice cream.
Do you know how many times I burned myself with that gorgeous apple pie thing?
Countless.
Man, that was good stuff there.
Al, one other thing we're talking about on the show today, and we're getting a lot of positive feedback. We're asking people, what's your NFL team and what's the backstory? Why did you become a fan of that team? For me, it's Doug Flutie with the Chargers. Hernan, he liked the team. He liked the colors with the San Francisco 49ers. You're an Eagles fan. What is the backstory? What's the origin story behind Alan Mitchell cheering on the Eagles?
Well, this is going back early 70s, and back then the NFL didn't come on the television until like the Sunday after the Grey Cup game. It was all CFL, and then mid-season you'd pick up NFL. And they showed 2 divisions, the Green Bay, Minnesota Viking division, and then the AFC East. And I quickly learned not to like the Cowboys, and the Giants were kind of boring. But there's 2 things about the Philadelphia Eagles that I really liked. Number one was their helmets. At the time, they were not the ones that they have now. They were really different. They were white with a red, what we assume was an eagle wing. And then they were sort of similar to the Vikings logo or helmet. And then they had a wide receiver named Harold Carmichael. And Carmichael just went into the Hall of Fame, which is fantastic. But he was a great receiver. He ran great routes, but he was also very tall. He could hurdle people, and he was so exciting. Like he was just an exciting player to watch. So whenever the Eagles were on, and I would just watch and wait for Harold Carmichael to catch the ball, and then watch what he'd do. And so that's when I became a fan of the NFL over time, and then the Eagles specifically was because of Harold Carmichael.
And they haven't let you down since.
No, every year.
Got a Super Bowl?
Hey, you know what? I'll tell you, I never thought it would happen. I know I won't get another one. So I'm just happy that I hung around to get one. I never expected it, and it wasn't even, I don't even think that the team that won it was the best Eagles team. The Donovan McNabb team that went to the Super Bowl, for me, was the best Eagles team ever. But that's okay. I don't care. None of it matters. They won.
Exactly.
That's my dog.
Yeah. Oh, welcome to the show. Hernan and I also, like, we want to get a little Oilers conversation in on this show. This is around the NHL. So looking at the team going into next season, obviously, we'll say, 99, 97% complete. Maybe there's a PTO, but Kyler Yamamoto still has to reach that contract, obviously, an RFA. Are you surprised we're heading into September, heading into September and still no deal for Kyler?
Well, I think what's happened is that Ken Holland is the new GM, and he structures his offseason in a certain way. Ethan Bear got caught in this a little bit a year ago, and I just don't like the Edmonton Oilers. They did it with Dylan Holloway. They didn't give him the extra year so he could burn off a year and play a couple of games, and they didn't do it with Ethan Bear, and I don't think they're going to do it with Kyler Yamamoto. There's very little time for an NHL team where they have control over the player and they can impose impose their will on him. And I think that added to the fact that Yamamoto didn't score much in the second half of the year means that he's going to get a contract probably 1 or 2 years that's going to be well less than what I or many other people thought. The Oilers they're not, I mean, they're not hardball, but they are. Ken Holland is a far more difficult GM when he has control to deal with than somebody like Peter Chiarelli was.
So when do you think we get this deal done, and what do you think it looks like looking into your crystal ball?
Well, I think it could be like $1.5 million times one, or maybe 2 years at a little more than that. But I'd estimated it would be around $2 million times two. I don't think it's going to get that high, and it could be lower because the Bear contract I think was 2 years times two, and Bear had a pretty darn nice year, so it could be lower than the Bear deal. And the other thing is that you know, it's just the nature of the beast when you don't have. I like Yamamoto a lot as a player, and I think it was a really, really good draft pick. It was inspired to take him where they got him 22 overall, but he didn't have a good back half of this year, and that does impact negotiations. And I think that it's going to cost him some dollars here, but I think they'll get it done. We're 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away, sometime in the next 10 days, I would say.
Alan Mitchell joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, the host of The Lowdown with Lowtide on TSN 1260 Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. until noon. And the one thing I do look at, because I don't necessarily think I have him locked in as that number 2 right wing. I think there is a potential for him to fall down the lineup, especially if the production isn't there on 5-on-5. Do you think there's any risk there for him, like signing a 1-year deal and it could go both ways, I guess. He could have a career year and he gets a nice deal, or potentially does what he did last year and, tenacious as he is, he's always noticeable out there, but not putting up the points, and then maybe he's hurting himself. Like, it seems like it could be a very make or break contract and year for Kailer Yamamoto.
Yeah, and it's a position that's in transition too. The Oilers, they signed Zach Hyman as a left winger, but he could easily go to the right side. Puljujarvi looks like he's absolutely established himself as one of the top 3 right wingers. We don't know what line he'll play on, but I think he'll end up on the McDavid line. We'll see. Yamamoto was very effective with Draisaitl, but they have other options now, and there's always going to be that sense that maybe they can slide Zach Kassian back there and use him and increase the talent base of the top 3 lines. So there's competition there. It's good competition. The Oilers have also drafted several players not ready yet, but could be in the coming couple of years. So the pressure will be on Yamamoto. I just think he's a really talented guy, and if he's healthy, he's going to have another good year. So my preference would be a 2-year deal because I think he'll be expensive when they have to sign him again.
Al, just one more question for you today. Jack Eichel kind of stealing the headlines today. It looks like he's changing agents. Not too sure, how that's going to necessarily impact his trade value or try to force the Buffalo Sabres' hand. But do you think we see a deal within the next couple of weeks, maybe the next month? And if so, which team do you think should be making that phone call?
I'm not sure. It's a tough deal to make this close to the training camp. I think a team like Calgary might be interested, but they don't know what his health is. And from the player point of view, he has suggested he'd like to have a procedure which would delay his return. So that's complicating the issues. The other thing is, I get the sense, and this does happen in sports, that the owner has just decided that he's going to have his superstar cool his jets. There's been a fracture in the relationship, and one thing, I think when you own a major league franchise, you're probably a little bit, interested in power and maybe enjoy that side of it. And my suspicion is that the Sabres ownership might just have decided they're going to let Eichel sit for a while. He wants to have a surgery. From what we can tell, the organization doesn't agree with that. So I don't think they can. The new agent can restore the relationship. I think that's done. But I also think that unless the owner has a change of heart, and maybe this agent has a way to make that relationship work where the previous agents did not, then I think Eichel might be sitting for several months, maybe even till Christmas or after. But I hope it gets done because I think he's a really talented guy, and Buffalo is a mess and has been for a long time. So, punishing Jack Eichel doesn't improve their reputation at all.
It really doesn't. Al, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem. No, now there's no evening show that'll be calling me, right? Like I'm done for the day.
Well, I mean, I know ESPN likes to give you a call every once in a while, so maybe Sarah Spain might reach out, but I think you're done.
Okay, I'm having a beer, so that's where I'm going.
I'll have two.
I think I will. What the hell?
We'll talk to you later. Thanks, Al.
Hey, have a great weekend, guys.
You too. That is Alan Mitchell, the host of the Lowdown with Low Tide. He writes at The Athletic. He hops on anyone's podcast who asks, Hernan's, mine. I'm sure there's more of you out there. If you ever want to guess, just slide into LT's DMs and he'll come on your podcast. That's a promise from me. And Hernan, this Jack Eichel situation, man, it sucks. Like it sucks for both sides.
I think I've said this countless times on the shows I've worked on, where I feel like Buffalo's the Edmonton Oilers of the decade of darkness, right? Like they keep making changes, coaches, management. They keep bringing in players. They keep drafting high, and they just can't figure it out. And that was the problem here in Edmonton for how long, Connor?
Too long.
Yeah. So
Too
I
long.
mean, they're going through some tough times, and I understand Buffalo's situation too, where it's like this is our elite player, it's our captain. We can't just give him away.
Yeah.
Like we've seen some bad trades for elite players, and just because they're disgruntled and they want to move on from him. But Buffalo's holding firm here, and you know the surgery and all that's holding it back as well, Connor. That's it's unfortunate because he's such a good player, and he's dealing with the injury stuff. He's not happy there. Their number one overall picks going back to university, which is probably the best decision for him. But you have a soft spot for Buffalo Sabres fans because we went through that here, Connor. We did. And covering a team that's that bad and they just can't seem to figure it out, it's frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough on everyone. Obviously, the organization, the players, the fans, people covering it. It's just a negative space to be around. And, you know, for a while, you try to put a positive spin on it, but you can't. It's toxic. Struds has brought it up. Their goaltending situation kind of shows maybe just how they feel. Like, it just looks like they're tanking and hoping for positive outcomes in the upcoming draft.
And it's like you're here. Remember here, Connor, we'd be doing shows, and by November, the Oilers would be out. And then, but you're right, because it turned toxic because all you're talking about is the draft and what they can do to fix a team. And then we all got excited in the offseason, a new coach or new general manager, new players, whatever. And then back next November, you were out by November again. And it was just such a vicious cycle that, and you're seeing it still here in Edmonton, where sometimes the Oilers have been to the playoffs twice. Yes, I know once with the bubble playoffs and the COVID and all that. And last year with the Canadian division, the Oilers were there and they were swept. But it almost feels like some Oiler fans still can't enjoy themselves because they're so damaged from what the last 10, 12 years did to them, right? Because it was hard, man.
It is. Not all, but there's some. It's like someone who got out of a really toxic relationship for a long time. They didn't want to quit. They get out, and it still kind of plays a role in their life. Like Oilers fans, we've seen it. Like the smallest thing can set people off. I go back to that Devin Shore signing.
I was just gonna say that. Like,
it was like it shouldn't have been that big of a deal, but
No.
people were like, the precedent it sets, it's not right. And
like the reaction Devin Shore signing got was ridiculous. I'm sorry. And throw the analytics in there or whatever you want. There's no way a fan base should have been that upset over a guy that's going to be your 12, 13, 14 forward and for minimal money.
I agree with you 100%, Hernan. We'll come back with the Oil Report. Maybe we'll talk about those Oilers. What can we expect next season? And if you did enter our little contest here for Eagle Rock Golf, 2 rounds Monday through Friday with a friend and a cart, we will pick a winner during this break. So if you haven't done it yet, send us a text at 101260, your favorite NFL team and why. And if you did send us a text at one point today, get your phone out because one of you will get a text message from us. You're listening to the Jason Gregor Show with Connor Halley and Hernan Salas on Edmonton Sports Leader, TSN 1260.